So you've heard the University of California is experiencing budget cuts. We have one mic, we don't have two. Next year we may not have any. I'm Professor Bruce Baker, Chair of the Psychology Department, and I'd like to welcome you to the department's undergraduate commencement celebration. We're going to begin our ceremony very shortly, so I'd like to ask everyone to be seated. And our ceremony will begin with a procession of the graduating students, followed by a procession of the faculty members. Will the graduates please come forward and remain standing? today's celebration, please come forward. Will the faculty please proceed? UCLA, the place that for 4 or 5 or more years has been home to the students we honor today by this celebration. UCLA is arguably the youngest of the world's great universities. Founded in 1919, it has risen to prominence worldwide and now stands among America's premier universities. Closer to home, we are proud of the psychology department, which is currently ranked 3rd in the nation, tied with... We're in good company. We're tied with Harvard, Yale, and Michigan. Several of our areas are ranked 1st in the nation. Our venue today, the famous Los Angeles Tennis Center, is a special place. And this morning, it is the setting of an event that is a special commencement ceremony. This is a wonderful celebration, a celebration of the achievements of our graduates who are your daughters, sisters, brothers, nieces and nephews, boyfriends, girlfriends, roommates. It is their day, but it is your day too. We're excited to see another class complete their studies at UCLA and leave us to begin their careers or continue their education. But I thank you for the time and energy you've invested in your graduates. You're an important part of their success. Our graduates will be honored today by coming up on stage and having their names read. This will also be designated. It's important to us that we're able to honor each of our graduates personally. Towards that end, we would appreciate your being courteous and quiet as the graduate's name is read aloud. Now, this is the time for that predictable request. So that you're not the one that everybody looks at when it goes up. Finally, let me emphasize that today's ceremony will conclude with a recessional, first of the faculty and then of the graduates. And we hope you will all remain seated until they have left. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce Psychology's Vice Chair of Undergraduate Programs, Professor Barbara Nolan.
To complete a bachelor's degree in the Department of Psychology at UCLA is an honorable distinction. This is a day of great achievement for each and every one of you. I congratulate you on your success. I'd like to mention some of the achievements of our graduating class. The psychology department ranks among the top departments in the UCLA College in the number of students receiving Latin honors. In addition, the department ranks among the top departments in the College of Letters and Science in the number of students elected for membership in Phi Beta Kappa, the most national honor society for undergraduates. Of our graduates this year, a large number received competitive, meritorious awards from UCLA. For example, the Alumni Association Distinguished Bruin Award, the Chancellor's Service Award, or they received a national award. For instance, the Golden Key National Honor Society Award, Science Foundation Award. And many students presented papers at professional conferences this year. The difficult programs that you've all traversed and the remarkable record of scholarship that I just summarized convince me, first, that each of you in the graduating class can look forward to an exciting future of continuing achievements wherever your paths may take you. And second, that more than a few of you are geniuses who will make remarkable contributions to your chosen professions and to society as a whole. Shake your hands as you walk on stage today. To conclude, I salute you on all of your achievements, and I hope that as you go forward in life, you'll keep us informed about your progress, and you'll let us in the UCLA Department of Psychology continue to celebrate with you as you encounter and conquer life's inevitable challenges. Congratulations.
Thank you, Professor Nolan. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce Professor Andrew Christensen, a distinguished professor at this university and a highly valued and much admired member of our department. Professor Christensen has spent his career studying close human relationships.
Esteemed Chairman, learned and fatigued faculty, excited and relieved that the last final exam is finally over, graduating students, proud grandparents, tearful and financially damaged parents and spouses, skeptical and surprised siblings, and getting ready to party friends. Graduates, college was a mere 4 years of your life, or 5 or 6 or 7. Only 5% or more of a normal lifespan, yet it will assume a prominence in your life far beyond what that percentage would suggest, and for several good reasons. Consider what happened to most of you. At the beginning of college, you left home. During its course, you attained adulthood. And by its end, many of you had made 1 or 2 of the most important decisions in your life, career and of a life partner. Less dramatic and less tangible, but still significant changes occurred in your important relationships. Today, I'm going to describe how I think and hope these relationships may have changed, even been transformed over these crucial transition years of college. If the changes I describe have not happened to you, to some of you, my guess is they will happen soon. First, during your college years, you separated from them and showed you could be independent. Well, perhaps not financially independent, but certainly emotionally and intellectually independent. You may have even outgrown that early adolescent embarrassment about them and can now introduce them to your friends with pride. Thus, you may have seen the change that Mark Twain described when he said, "When I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant I could hardly stand to have the old man around. But when I got to be 21, I was astonished at how much he had learned in 7 years." Whether your parents were fierce tiger moms and dads or indulgent helicopter parents, they certainly made their mistakes, which you, of course, have cataloged extensively. Despite these mistakes, and even though they may lack what you consider basic living skills, such as the ability to text or tweet, even though they may employ quaint practices such as spelling out words and writing in complete sentences, or even remarkably engage in ancient hieroglyphics like longhand writing, to prehistoric methods like regular mail. Even with these substantial limitations, your parents still have something important to offer you. A perspective based not just on their longer experience in the world, but because of their unique experience of you. They were there from your very beginning. They know all of your history, and they have a stake in all of your future. But view both through the soft, forgiving lens of their filter, of their love and caring for you. You have achieved, or hopefully soon will achieve, that mature adult connection of being independent of them and yet truly connected to them. Now to your relationship with your peers. During your years at UCLA, you were in closer proximity to more people your age than you will ever be again. You undoubtedly made some friends for life. There's a special bond that is forged during late-night conversations in the service of mutual homework avoidance. The peers that surrounded you were notable not just by their quantity, but by their quality. You were a stone's throw from one of the largest, most diverse group of bright young people in the world. I hope you took full advantage and made friends with peers of a different ethnicity, race, religion, or sexual orientation. There's no better way to probe your own beliefs and assumptions, to come to terms with them, than to have them challenged by different ones. There is nothing that builds tolerance quite like familiarity. During the process, you may have come to appreciate the incredible variability in human behavior, but also see how that variability sometimes masks the common bonds of humanity that link us all. You may have gotten a sense of the challenge of psychology to account for the powerful influence of culture on human behavior that leads to such manifest heterogeneity, yet to find the fundamental latent universals within that heterogeneity. To find within all the exuberant diversity of human life the common human heart that beats within us all. And now to your romantic relationships. During college, most of you fell in love, or jumped or dove or sprang into love. Whatever the mode of propulsion, you experienced that unique exhilaration of romance. Maybe you found your one and only true love, your soulmate, several times. If you didn't find the right one, maybe you learned that there is no right one, but there are many wrong ones, and you're better able to discriminate between the two. But you probably also experienced the aching pain of rejection, making you question the wisdom of Tennyson's poetic assertion, "'Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all." Like knees and elbows that are bruised on the way to physical maturity, the heart has to be broken a couple of times on the way to emotional maturity. So your love can be filled not only with passion, but also compassion. However painful, can make love when found more precious and long-lasting. As you fell in love, maybe you took some relevant psychology courses. In the department's social psychology class, you may have learned that the neural circuits for social rejection are the same as those for physical pain. Thus, the pain you felt in your heart was indeed all in your head, or more precisely and less metaphorically, all in your brain. Or perhaps more to the point, while you were in love, maybe you took the department's course on intimate relationships and learned about the cognitive distortions that take place at the height of romance when we see our partners as more positive than objective observers see them, and later during discord when we see our partners as more negative than objective observers see them, conflict and discord. Or more to the point, maybe when you fell in love, you took the department's course on human sexuality. In that course, you can consider your feelings in the evolutionary context and view them through the theories and empirical findings on mate selection. And not entirely beside the point, while you were in love, maybe you took the course on abnormal psychology and examined if all of this craziness has a name. In whatever courses you took, you experienced the unique joy of psychology, to participate fully in the human drama while simultaneously observing it through the lens of science, enabling perhaps a more mindful participation in that drama. Last and certainly least of all these relationships, but important nonetheless, is your relationship with us, your faculty. You have been intimidated by us, although many of you gave no visible evidence of that. Over the course of your time here, some of you worked closely with us in a lab or research project. Many of you came to our office hours or stayed after class to ask questions or discuss issues. And many of you simply listened and watched from the classroom. As you had this contact with us in and outside of class, you learned lots of facts and theories, but more importantly, you learned to question and you learned methods of answering those questions. Across the broad spectrum of psychology courses, ranging from abnormal psychology to neuroscience to statistics, you learned what constitutes scientific evidence and its logical relationship to conjecture or hypothesis. Our field of psychology, like most fields of interest to the public, is sometimes full of hype and cant, with outrageous claims that can only be countered rationally by an examination of the relevant evidence. Whether in psychology or in the broader world, this understanding of what constitutes evidence can serve you well. In our wired world, anyone can broadcast false and outrageous claims, unsubstantiated by that essential journalistic tradition of fact-checking. And these distortions and untruths, by repetition over the worldwide reach of the internet, can achieve a measure of completely undeserved credibility. It is truly those that a lie can travel halfway around the world before truth gets its boots on. In this new world, a heavier burden is put on each of us and each of you, the intelligent, young, educated elite, to greet all claims, scientific or otherwise, with skepticism and ask the simple question, what is the evidence? If our relationship has taught you what constitutes evidence and how to analyze its logical relationship with conjecture, if you have absorbed our modeling of curiosity combined with skepticism, then we can rest with satisfaction, and you can take your degree proudly, fully prepared to take your part in the vital democracy that is America.
Michael Krim. Michael, where are you? And a psychology department honor student. He's participated in research in 2 labs studying the psychology of stereotypes and the psychology of judgment and decision making. During Michael's 4 years at UCLA, he's been actively involved in The Den, a student group promoting and organizing student support for all of the UCLA sports teams. Michael.
We all got a lot of emails. One of the emails that kept appearing in my inbox was the Psych Department Commencement Speech application form. Now, at first I thought there are plenty of other people who would be much better at putting 4 years worth of life lessons into a 3-minute speech, along with their own amazingly extravagant personal success story. Besides, they could probably point to a future much more rooted in a concrete path than my own, where there's still plenty of uncertainties and unknowns. But then I realized that there was a message that I needed to convey. As we leave Franz Hall and enter the magnificent and terrifying place that people call the real world, it is okay to not know the specific paths that our lives will take. It is okay to not know. Sometimes in life, the lesson learned is not specifically the lesson being taught. College has been rife with these types of lessons. Through trial and error, we have all learned the minimum amount of sleep necessary to still be proficient in class. Or more importantly, on a midterm. And we all know exactly how long it takes us to write a 2-page essay, so that when confronted with that proverbial perfect storm, where your morning social psychology and behavioral neuroscience midterms fall on the same day as your paper is due for your afternoon sensation and perception discussion section, you can successfully perform the time-honored college tradition of print and sprint. We've all had one of those days. We have all survived Psych 100A and 100B.
You will each hand your card to Melina, Jody, or Lori, so that your name can be announced to all of us. After your name is read, you should then walk across the stage to be congratulated by a faculty member who will shake your hand, and a second faculty member who will hand you your certificate. You then walk off the stage down these stairs in the middle. And when the second faculty member hands you your certificate, the photographer will take your picture. So kind of be looking out that way. Will the first row of graduates in the section to my left please stand? Good. Turn to your right. And walk towards the microphone with your name card in hand. Faculty. Our first two faculty are Nin Tottenham, a professor in developmental psychology, and Professor Keith Holyoke in the cognitive psychology area.
Elena May Pohl. Tyler Frank Adamczyk. Sylvia Ani Depanian.
Lilo.
Danielle Catherine DeCio.
Whistle Thomas.
Danielle Kathleen Carey. Elisa Chimi Morisoto. Marianne Sadi. William Moore Kettler. Yesenia Salmon. Kinda Girardi. Sinan Osama Jabori. Claudia Michelle Young. Linda Salgan. Leanna
Ice Magna. Yay!
Sarah Lee Nazarian. Bella Aratunian. Bianca. Carmo Mary Moazis. Alexandra Regina Schultz. Julia Tran.
Laini me çatı çay.
Justin Chang Lee. Noreen Naijung Chang. Anita Ascaranam. Jen Ling Ni. Mona Lin. Janet Louis. Karen Yanette Gonzalez. Danielle Moonju Min. Michael C. Chun Yuan. Jessica Chen. Lynn C. Albo Wang. R.P. Samuelian. Monique Moon. Victoria Tracy Wong. Carla S. Yi. Jenny Zhuang. Amy Fong. V. Doan. Kristen Taylor Tokunaga. Ji Yoon Jung. Griselda Yanez. Anayeli Zavala.
Somebody not pay tuition. Oh, okay, here we go. Our graduates will now be congratulated by Professor Hanjing Liu from Cognitive Psychology and Professor Rina Rapetti from Clinical Psychology.
Jennifer Cam O'Connell.
Hold on, I can't find her. Oh.
Navat Barsegia. Allison Pele. Kelly Lauren Gray. Neda Bezadi. Natalia Bosher. Rocio Ruiz. Christina Kong. Lila Abrams. Elaine Codd. Elizabeth Cully. Fadi Shaya. Brianna Cooper. Casey Spiegel. Nicole Matera. Brittany Sky Flynn. Monica Marcinkiewicz. Caitlin Jones. Michael John Tubbs. Lara Abunayan. Sky Lawler. Casey Kelly. Keely Fernandez. Nicholas Dietz. Christian Clausen. Monica Brooks Stephen. Eric Akune. Onkar Singh Dinsa. Harsanum Collins. Monique Atwal. Lily Chan. Poonam Patel. Abbas Mohammed Charlie. Mega Maheda. Jacqueline Dang. Kei Kika Kajima Bowen. Rena Nguyen. Mary Tam. ID Tam. Charisse Liu. Jessica Chavez. Allison Perlman Henson. Victoria Zuhuvitskaya. Douglas Roach. Albert Geskin. Benjamin Steeper. Erica Huey. Panta Banayan. Sivan Cohen. Desiree Akumzadeh. Jennifer Danish. Ryan Raouf. Ali Dabirian. Melissa Sapunjan. Mitchell Brown. Talia Sarig.
Our graduates will now be congratulated by Professor Bill Grisham from Behavioral Neuroscience area. You don't know Bill, huh? And Professor Peter Benber from the Quantitative area.
Paristu Modir Shala. Ashi Kapoor. Vikas Kumar. Matthew Hendrick Millengers. Andrew Jonathan Sanders.
Lishai Amir. Vache Varum Yerganyan. Garrett Robert Harney. Daniela Ava Vosti. Amanda Leanne Freeman. Jasmine Kaur Johal. Ravina Kanwar. Lindsay Paige Moyer. Jessica Ann Limeculler. Megan Elise Donnelly. Beverly Okereke. Natalie Anyakpur. Diane Motamed. Kimberly Hong. Jonathan Allen Jew. Bethany Ann Liebeck. Ryan Charles Dahlbaum. Bernadine Elise Dizon. Crystal Mack. Felicia Ann Garcia. Fred Vasquez. Calvin Quach. Christine Hotaru Naya. Tiffany Lynn. Melody Almi Luck. Christy Jetsu Pasu. Christina K. Chung. Marina Mladenovich. Shannon Lee Morton. Tasneem Teresa Campos. Arsha Ostawara. Hale Kayla Kashpari. Emma Ann Battershaw. Cameron Daniel Furry. Dominic Dean Woodson. Jonathan Paul Lyons. Shoko Sato. Sarah Bentonhort. Monica Galeana.
Our graduate, Professor Stan Shine, Behavioral Neuroscience, and Professor Martin Monti, Cognitive Psychology.
Maria Florencia Ucha LaSalle. O. Marwa. Tram Lloyd. Michael Nguyen. Sarah Lauren Foster. Jillian Tuso. Brett Hamilton Neely. Samantha Kate Slama. Mitchell B. Platter. Kyle Anthony Babbitt. Tony Liu Cho. Cassie Samantha Wang. Nicole Noel Liu. Jennifer Michelle Lai King Yi. Isabel Kina. Andrew James Larkin. Ariel Arad. Nicole and
Pendonian.
No, smile pizza. Coconut
Alexandra Taylor
No, so
Mora.
take Marelo. Yeah, any channel.
Courtney Ann DiNicola.
Yeah, it can't para
Leah Marguerite Armstrong. Maria Trump Pham. Christine Marie West. Haley Breitenfeld. Marlena Marie Mansour. Bryant Putra Ramley. Carolina D. Sotomayor. Leanne Christine Mendoza. Helen Gabrias Burhani. Banaz Hajazi. Margaret Yoon. Tirsi Onbi. Stephanie Onyango. Simona Sibian. Azim Nafisi. Desiree Soleimani. Amanda Natalie Hasib. Brittany L. Santoyo. Alexis Hannah Fogel. Sophia Clarissa Lim. Korea Islam. Christine Kalakson. Cameron Molasagi. Caesar Delanto. Ashley Marlene Morsi. Sydney Elizabeth Barnes. Catherine Montgomery Rome. Paola Penelope Reynoso Williams. Serena Hoi Moon Tam.
Graduates will now be congratulated by Professor Tarek Scanlon from Social Psychology and Professor and former Chair Robert Bjork from Cognitive.
Gabrielle Marie Malouf. Cody Mendoza. Kevin William Campbell. Sarah Seto. Ashley Morgan Shirk. Vanessa Roundy. Maury Elise Naftulin. Lynn Marie Weil. Lindsay Renee Abluton. Alexandra Danielle Todd. Brianna Joy Davis. Jennifer Hernandez. Darren Liu. Christopher Douglas Stump. Scott James Nelson. Jeffrey John Poirier. Diana Magurdichian. Haikanush Christine Khanjian. Diana Manukyan. Sosi Sarafyan. Daniel Jeffrey Dubin. Andrew Pervesian. Armand Danielian. Sonyu Lee. Courtney Sheets. Jefferson Poe. Marvin King Liu. Kristen Nicole Lind. Catherine Ann Harmon. Allison Marie Bassett. Elizabeth Francis. Rebecca Noel Bakosh. Jan Hume. Daryl Alessandro Rodon. Daniel Tiu. Cheryl Lee. Anna Cito. Danny G. Shruti Ulas. Sienna Capri Julene Barnes. Autumn Taylor. Janae Aronia Jones. Lonisha Green. Charlotte Yamasaki. Marissa Sharif. Monique Patricia Garcia. Mikhail Alberto Villarreal Mitra. Justin Cortez Sabino. Lauren Ashley Abina Forondo.
Congratulated by Professor Steve Lee, Clinical Psychology, and Professor Zillian Liu, Cognitive Psychology.
Michelle Christine Pasco. Lindsay Bing Kang. Lorianne Manalo. Jenica Alsabar. Janelle Lee. Camille Noel Messina. Diane Bo Chang. Eileen Babaran. Jennifer Nobi. Reed. Andrea Nicole Lopez. Albert Hu. Alexandra Sushkova. Stephanie Cheryl McNamara. Taeyeon Kim. So In Kim. Chae Eun Yun. Ji Young Kim. Young Ha Lee. Unji Lee. Sei Kim. Christine Lee. Kimberly Wee. Tiffany Joan Lee. Eugene Miao. Jennifer Nicole Bouwer. Janae Kupalani Kama. Blake Morla. Tony Matthew Carthen Jr. Alexander Michael Farkas. Kevin Michael Chang. Shilpa Puri. Randy Owen Chang. Jackie Lee.
Excuse me, sir.
Claire Yang.
Someone dropped their card.
Ashley Lee.
Someone dropped their card.
Michelle Sarah Karivar. Ursula Joy Delgadillo. Jonathan Manuel Ortiz. Joshua
Chiarte non.
Jin Young Shin, Rebecca Ray Keith, Zoya Jabin Khan, Ala Glushhook, Jason Willett, Maiho Marisawa,
By Professor Aaron Blaisdell, and Learning Behavior, and Professor Scott Johnson, Developmental Psychology.
Hai Yoon Bae, Derek Blue, Brandon Dinajal, Natalie Perry, Eva Sahar Nuribin, Maria Saba, Falls, Kathleen Denise Stegman-Wise, Henry Jer King, Sarah Lene Clark, Nicole McIntyre, Ariel Janit Gerard, Michael Fat Ta, Kyle Newen, Diane M. Eddy, Mona Ironi Najad, Lon Thi Nguyen, Dana John, Debbie Gu, Trina Dow, Rajni Kaur Niger, Sharon Hung Shin Huang, Flora Hung Hui Huang, Franklin K. Wee, Michelle Nguyen, Anderson Jimmy Nguyen, Jonathan Seth Goldberg, Sophia Stefanin, Harvey Moravian, Ruben Longdishian, Jennifer Page Mackay, Michael Paul Gartunian, Lauren Nicole Apadaka, Erica Mercedes Brendan, Kathleen Genevieve Bryant, Trisha Mercaldi, Aline Papazian.
Our graduates will now be congratulated by Professor Anna Lau from Clinical Psychology and Professor Young Ho from Social Psychology.
Carolyn Ann Bufford, Allison Lee Roeder, Jessica Yang, Stacy Mercado, Kelly Tang, Brenda Munoz, Tiffany Ann Taylor, Florence Fan, Nico Benjamin Volts, Sungat Kaur Graywall, RP Stephanie Hasratian, Rafi Joseph Orfali, Stephen Tran, John Walter Combs, Sandra Nell Harpster, Alice Wei Chang, Shayna Eileen Clavin, Mariana Rodriguez. Lizette Pimento. Celia Vega Herrera. Jacqueline Esteban Lacanilao. Milagro Bertela Rauda. Danielle Ann Luce. Angela Osley Ninoyan. Christina Voski Sabatian. Tali Kachumian. Rochelle Brooke Shabanian. Maria Del Pedrosian. Harley Anthony Searcy. Lugar Nicola Alfie. Maria Cornejo. Marcela Lima Matos. Naomi Viviana Beltran.
Our next graduates will be congratulated by Professor Ted Robles, Health Psychology, and Professor Tad Blair, Behavioral Neuroscience.
He's big on education.
Sadie Aguilar. Gabriela Mendoza. Michelle Molina. Cindy Lopez. Carolyn Tina Davudi. Linda Jin. Amber Ann Kincaid. Corey Allen Higgs.
Yay, Corey!
Laura Rose Colosimo. Valerie Marie Fresh. Megan Jennings Frazier. Richard Gregory Vishnevsky. Jamie Wugun Kwan. Stephanie Kathleen Dunn. Brooke Marie Hollyfield. Evelyn Saray Varela Nevels. Espinoza. Melissa Hocus Fining. Kristen Mary Gordon. Michelle Partielli. Lancer Nagdichi. Tahura Sadugi. Elizabeth Gunlejun. Maverick Anton Crawford. Lena Suhun Chon. Jessica Choi. Diana Su-Min Chung. Joyce Ju Young Lee. Isaiah Cho.
Congratulated by Professor Patricia Greenfield from Developmental Psychology and Professor Gene Stigler, also from Developmental Psychology.
John Ming Beck. Johnny M. Kim. Timothy Beam. Serena Horshin Lamb. Dory Peck. Ricardo Perez. May Chan. Paula Rebecca Gonzalez. Rochelle Esteban Agustin. Eileen Ignacio. Megan Demano Villamine.
Janati. Mitra Kohan. Nagin Bustani. Saper Shabani. Sapeda Lamoti. Leila Imami. Morbarid Agarahamian. Feriel Darbani. Keaton Matthew Owen. Jessica Lynn Jellison. Nusha Kohan Darvish. Ashley Kim. Carol Kim. Eunice Lee. John June Kim. Timothy Yu. Anna Ruan. Elaine Chu. Elise Tran. Aziel Hernandez.
Our graduates will now be congratulated by Professor Yana Yuvonen, Developmental Psychology, and Professor Adriana Galvan, also Developmental Psychology.
Elaine Patricia Edwards. Shalimar Leonlyn Wilson. Holly Faye Raven. Cami Noel Tierce. Alyssa De Los Santos. Sanjali Kumar. Jonathan Wu. Jillian Dawn Tahara. Crystal Akeye Hanano. Andrew Shu. Sagar Pautak. Ganeet Kaur. Sun Hee Kim. Sona Lee. Christopher Dunn. Sandy Liu. Prativa Shaprova Khan. Lena Law. Cheryl Ann Padua Carolino. Lydia Chung. Ying Hume. Christine Carol Clemens. Richard Stephen Hottie. Veronica Meyer. Samvel Gyurdzian. Jane Chong. Joanna Shea. Christine D. Park. Jessie Ye. Ukash Rohit Kumar Desai. Catherine Grace Donnelly. Gabriella Babarnak Dogaru. Francis Scatini.
Our graduates will now be congratulated by Professor and Senior Vice Chair Elizabeth York in Cognitive Psychology and Professor Hector Myers, Clinical Psychology.
Elizabeth Ann Abate. Ashley Ann Wilcox. Connie Zhang. Laren Ashley McKay. Hillary Siu Fung. Melinda Wong.
Roshan Burns. Carl Andrew Yosef. Amit Mabubian. Fong Stacy Tran. Kevin Osman Juarez. John No. Yeni Wong. Anne Marie Mack. Andy Chu. Caroline Doan. Andrew Joseph Persson. Janovi Ata Lay. Bruce Nguyen. Albert Jin Chung. Gwen Hao Lu. Daniel Cheng. Lu Chen. Leanna Lucero. Christine Chang. Thomas Matthew Navis. Amanda Lynn. Lauren Reeder. Mimi Johnson. Adrian Daniel Morokin. Margaret Ju. Jenny Lynn Pham. Yan Lam Matthew Lau. Erica Lokman Yoon.
Our graduates will now be congratulated by Professor Carlos Cajalva, Behavioral Neuroscience, and Professor Vicki Mays, Clinical Psychology.
Iris Kayin Chat. Tang Shou. Ram Han. Gisela Damaris Udino. Wilson Chen Lau. Emily Du. Joyce Ho. Rebecca Wong Yan Ting. Coco Yan Ho Wong. Jian Young. Amy Ajay Patel. Alvina Yen Shan Lee. Bonnie Kawun Chan. Florbella Chang. Calvin Kwan Chan. Jocelyn T. Watts. Christine House. Eric Lynn. Shannon Margaret Daly. Mary Beth McElroy. Christine Lynn. Joel Carlos. Angel Kuo. Yao Nguyen. Sally Hernandez. Chanel Kuhanen. Janine Marie Hardiman. Christopher Brian Phillips. Viana J. Washington. Mercedes Elizabeth Smith. Brianna McCullough. Wendy Nuwadike. Sarah Nicole Henderson.
Our graduates will now be congratulated by Professor Philip Goff from Social Psychology, Professor Tom Bradbury from Clinical Psychology.
Rukhsar Siddiqui. Chian Lai. Sunny Choi. Eunjun Jang. Syra Hassan Muzaffar. Vanessa Ramirez. Natalie Hannah Beck. Hee-sung Jung. Elizabeth Ga-Yun Lee. Ashley Patricia Perez. Fairouj Teshrin Gladys Dankam. Jason Leandro Ponte. Kimberly Pablo. Jonathan Lexa. Samantha Danielle Biaco. Ashley Layla King. Stephanie Rand Gilbert. Nicole Rose Candiff. Lourdes Lulu Pantine. Andrea Justine Borba. Hillary Rose Russ. Caroline Harrison. Daniela Ilana Kaufman. Alexander Van Jones. Tanvir Singh. Aaron Taylor Ward. Darren Hong. Jenny Padilla. Jessica Alvarado. Julian Alcantar. April Ramirez. Leanne Paragas. Melody Ampuro. Elise Michelle Colonico. Lizette Ambrise Soriano. Jody Hitendra Patel. Abby Charles. Amy Yimai Liu. Azure Joyce McAfee.
Bradbury from Clinical Psychology, and Professor Ben Carney from Social Psychology.
Kimberly Joy Clifton. Kelly Christine Smith. Jessica Hopkins. Kasara Lene Afjay. Mon Catherine Singh. Emily Leslie George. Abigail Henrietta Sassoon. Laura Jean Payne. Kimberly Ann Phil. Justin Lou Paulino Pagado. Wesley James Hong. Michael Thornton. Victor Louis. Vanessa Ma. Daniel Thomas Bragg. Salme Klaas. Kelly Lynn Graff. Leslie Ann Wallet. Julia Bryn Lazelle. Michael Jason Singer. Kristen Lucas Pulley. Daniel Choi. Yifan Feng. Ahmed Patel. August Tyler Johansson. Samantha Samantha Lee Zeman. Chelsea Nicole Lee. Kaylee Ann McGinnis. Jeffrey Ma. Albert Quach. David Dow. Shiore Tando.
Our graduates will now be congratulated by Professor Matthew Lieberman, Social Psychology, and Professor Barbara Milton from Behavioral Neuroscience.
Yamin Myo Newt. Yinjing Gao. Lisa Nicole Lombarda. David Patrick Cruz. Saray Ter Steponian. Morgan Masura Kadoya. Pauline P. Shin. Sean Michael Hubbard. Brittany Ann Edwards. Justin Cesar Batista. Jack Gia Zhang. Pasha Daniel Dabiri. Jessica Lester Britton. Gabriella Gail Rulin. Donna Tall. Tadavik Ispirian. Jared Slater. Omid Mizra. Sean Abraham Sayani. Joyce Nicole Gorman. Christina Nicole Kirsch. Caitlin Mariel West. Stephen Edward Braverman. Mary Tess Kamaya Manessa. Felicia Tran. Caroline Ho. Savikola Riza Konkankit. Fabian Jesus Duran. Kylie Von Contrary. Ali Kalulian. Anthony Paul Barbaria. Lehel J. Kovach. Elizabeth Jimenez. Carla Yvette Lopez. Sabiha Kaiser. L. Permoradi. Sonia Monreal. Dayanera Gonzalez. Felicia Amy Shu. Ross M. Perry. Logan Joseph Kane. Cheryl Salmon Leung.
The graduates may now turn their tassels from the right to the left. Now I'd like to ask all of the families of the graduates to please stand. I'd like the graduates to stand and give a big hand of applause to their families who helped make this day possible. Will the families of the graduates please be seated. Will everybody please be seated? Our faculty will be available to meet the graduates and their families on tennis courts 4 and 5 on the south side of the Los Angeles Tennis Center. I think that's where you were before you came in. Speaking for all of the faculty participants, let me say that we are eager to congratulate you, meet your family and your friends, post some pictures for you with you on your big day. Again, to the left of the center here on courts 4 and 5. Will the faculty please rise and begin the recessional?